Welcome to Reutte in Tyrol. This small town of 6,500 inhabitants located on the banks of the beautiful Lech River is known around the world for its eye-catching frescoes and its High Line bridge. But now there's another highlight to rival the 114-metre high, 406-metre long hanging bridge. Reutte is set to play host to the latest sport taking Europe by storm, the Drone Champions League. Starting a fantastic new era of racing here at the Bergenfeld Ehrenberg as a new sport prepares to take off. Drone racing is without doubt a sport of the future. It's an event, a sport which everyone can do. Drone racing is fast, drone racing is technical, drone racing is challenging in so many different ways, both when it comes to reaction speed and when it comes to technical understanding. There's plenty of soldering to be done at home before you can race, so it's a sport that really challenges competitors, but I think that's the kick. Well, it's a new sport with huge potential, a sport which demands not only quick reactions but also a real feel for racing. Drone racing is incredibly fast and spectacular, but speed is not enough to win. The pilots need technical expertise to build and tune their machines to perfection in a league where the best in Europe come together to race, the DCL, the Drone Champions League. Well, the race director says we've set ourselves the goal of developing drone racing into a professional sport. Basically, the most important rule is the first drone to cross the line wins, and for us it's important that the viewers can understand which drone is where on the course at any time, and that's why we use colour coding, so that the fans always know where their favourite drone is on the course. The colour coding is achieved using LED and propellers with different colours. All four drones enter the course at the same time. If a pilot crashes, then the distance covered from start to finish gate is also counted. So if two drones end up crashing, the pilot whose drone completed more of the course finishes higher in the standings. If a drone crashes but is able to restart, the pilot is allowed to continue flying. But if a drone can't continue, it has to be pulled and repaired. But it really is a sport that everyone can try. Well, it's not expensive, you don't need a pilot's license, it's easy to get started, and even at the age of 12 you can start to compete as a race pilot. Well, one of these young competitors is 17-year-old Luke Bannister from Great Britain, but the field of pilots shows that drone racing is a sport for all ages, from 20-year-old hobbyists to 40-year-old family men and women. The range of ages and backgrounds here in Reutte is huge, no surprise, because the principle of drone racing is simple. Well, with us, it's about speed, sport, and who crosses the line first. Well, drones are racing, they're a racing medium of the future, but it's not only the drones that make this event special. The location, the ruins of Ehrenberg Castle, is also unique and spectacular, a stunning picture book location and an ancient fortress as a racetrack. Well, the special thing about the track is that the drones fly through the ruins of a castle which was built many, many centuries ago. The racetrack is adapted to the natural surroundings, and I think that that is something that makes it particularly special. Well, in order to get around the course in one piece, the pilots have to be careful of several things, as pilot Manuel Moritz explains. Well, Manuel's going to take us around the course. The start, the pilots fly through 3 small holes towards the first gate. Then they have to lose altitude so they can reverse and access this gate. The challenge is then to perform a tight hairpin turn in order to fly past the flag. A 180-degree turn around this flag, and then this gate where they must gain altitude and pass through the castle tunnel. The next challenge is to hold the perfect line and then drop down to another gate, and if they do not manage to do that, then they're going to have problems coming into the next gate. You have to get the approach to that gate exactly right. Then there's another 180-degree turn towards a flag, and here the pilots have to be careful to avoid the trees. Once that turn is completed, they once again fly towards the gate, where you'll have to pull up and fly a 90-degree turn, and that's going back towards the castle, and then you have to drop down again. And as you enter the home straight, there's a small flick to the side through the latest or the last gate before heading back towards the 3 holes. The difficulty is that you have to know before you fly through where you need to be for the next gate. Otherwise, you have a big problem. Well, a track which requires a fine touch and fast reactions, the pilots have to look ahead, otherwise they'll soon find themselves in trouble. Plenty of speed and precision are needed to qualify for the final heats. Only those pilots who are able to combine all these elements will make it through to the end of the competition. Qualifying is similar to Formula One. It's all about who can complete the fastest lap. The pilots with the fastest qualifying time then qualify for that round of 32 in the knockout phase. In the knockout phase, it's like a football tournament. 4 pilots fly against each other, with the top 2 qualifying through to the next round. Here's a summary then of how it works. After qualifying, the best 32 pilots progress to the knockout phase. From the round of 32 onwards, the pilots race in groups of 4. The best 2 from each heat move on to the next round. Now, the first stop of the Drone Champions League at the Bergenfeld, Ehrenberg, Austria. After the qualifying rounds, the weather gods are finally smiling on us, making for a fascinating knockout phase. And so, with qualifying completed, we move on to the knockout phase of the Drone Champions League here in Reutte. The fastest qualifier was Britain's youngster, Luke Bannister, with a lap time of 20.84 seconds, ahead of Poland's Mac Poschwald and France's Duncan Bossian, who were almost 2 seconds behind. Time then for the highlights from the round of 32. So let's get into Heat 3. Mittner in red, Chayev PV in green, Thompson in blue, Schweiger in yellow. Very close race at the start between Mittner and Chai. And you can just see how tight some of the elements of this course are, but you have to push hard and go for it, because that lack of speed will cost you. But without the precision, without the foresight through the VR goggles, then you could be in trouble. This is good. Mittner flying well. And Chai FPV in green as well, looking solid, both of those two. Thompson has crashed, I'm afraid. He was out shortly after the start, so not a great opener for him. And Schweiger, well, he's got a time come up. That means he's in trouble. He's had a knock, but Chai Mittner through the gate and looking good as they move round. Well, it's a solid time. Chai, 2:27.19. Mittner follows him through 4 seconds behind, but I'm afraid Thompson and Schweiger crashing out of that heat. The racing underway. Heat 5 then we move to. 3rd fastest qualifier, Duncan Bossian, racing in the red copter. Field very close at the start here. You can hear the drones with that high-pitched buzz reaching up to speeds of 130 kilometers per hour at times. Bossian able to build a little bit of daylight between him and the rest. Oh no, Bossian with a crash. Overtaken by Switzerland's Mark Heiniger, but Bossian able to get back into it, so the red copter rejoins the race and still going well. Look at this from Bossian. He is hunting down Heiniger, and it looks like it's going to be those two as we head into the closing stages of this race. Bossian can't afford another mistake. What a comeback from him though. And Bossian and Heiniger go through to the quarterfinals, but Dino Yogi very impressed with this backdrop, the man from Holland.
When I accidentally will leave the track and I lose my quad, right before I lose my quad, I will see a beautiful view and then I will lose my quad. So I'm looking forward to racing, of course.
Look out for Yogi in this one, the Dutchman in the red copter, then Chatanovic in the green from Poland, Maritz in the blue and Vence in the yellow. Oh dear, Manuel Moritz, our course guide from earlier, crashing into the lights early on. Oh, not great stuff from him. Dino Yogi in front, ahead of Rolf Wentz. Just behind him, it's a close fight between those two. But some really tricky gates. You can see just how careful they have to be with those finger movements, and I'm afraid Wentz is into the Tor zur Tirol. One of those tricky gates. Wentz bitterly disappointed at his mistake, but if he can get up and going again, then I think he's going to be okay. Well, across the line, Yogi's done the job, and Wentz will also move through to the next round, courtesy of his distance. So Yogi and Wentz go through on that one. Just a quick roundup of exactly who's through. We know the lineup for the quarterfinals. Now these pilots have to raise their game, though, if they want to get through to the semis. The track even more difficult in the dark, so the pilots are going to have to concentrate hard to guide their drones precisely through this very, very tricky course. Well, I have to say it, fantastic scenes here. Quite an amazing backdrop. And now these guys are really going to earn their money. Chayev PP then in the red, Mittner in the green, Zumas in the blue, and Sola in the yellow as we go into the second quarter-final heat. Several laps of this track in the night skies. And a few close shaves there for Zumas, the man in blue, the American. I'm afraid Sola crashing on lap 3, so he's out. Zuma flirting with that finishing gate. That's allowed Mittner to get the steal on him, but I think Zumas is still going to be able to cross the line if he keeps this together. This is good racing from the man in blue. Now who's going to join him? Another lap required to find out our winner. It is Zumas, 2:24.44. Mittner just 2.5 seconds down on him. So Zumas and Mittner progress through to the semi-finals. Fabulous racing from those two. Right, let's hear from the German XYF-PV.
Drone Champions League is auf jeden Fall eine Herausforderung.
Well, he says Drone Champions League, definitely a challenge, and the pilots on the start line are very good. I just want to progress as far as I can. And of course, my aim is to win. More about him later on. He's in this next heat, racing in blue, XYF-PV. I'll tell you what that stands for in a moment. Bossion then, our third fastest qualifier from France in red. Heininger, the Swiss, in green. And Bo in yellow from China. First lap then of 5, and I'm afraid Bossion, our fastest man, has crashed out. So no joy for the Frenchman after some great speed earlier on. And Bo Chen has gone as well. So it's all about these two just keeping it going. The German, X for X-axis, Y for Y-axis, and FPV, first-person view. Now you know the nickname for Leinen Molte of Germany. And it is Leinen that moves through in first position, Heininger in second, and those are our two qualifiers then through from this one. Moving straight on then to the next one, that's the first-person view that our racers get on the split screen. Yogi in red, Wentz in green, Stutz in blue, and Stropiev in yellow. And Yogi, I can tell you, flew straight into the start gate, but he's able to rejoin the race. Stutz has had a little knock with Wentz's drone. Oh, look at that. Very, very close stuff. The competition could be over for both pilots in the quarter-final. There's carnage in this one. Damage to Yogi, damage to Stropiev in the end. But Yogi is through, Stropiev is through, and it's Wentz and Stutz that take the biggest hits, crashing out of this one and not progressing any further. An amazing start then to this inaugural Drone Champions League. More action from Austria coming right up after the break. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Drone Champions League in Reutte, Austria. The drone racing is an action-packed and hugely popular sport. But what's so special about these racing drones, and how are they controlled? What are the secrets to success? Well, Manuel Moritz says the difficulty when it comes to controlling the drone is that you have to develop a real feel for controlling the copter using just the sensitivity of the stick. And then you have to visualize in your mind's eye what is happening in the air. So for drone racing, you need great fingers, fast reactions. Competitors must have perfect hand-eye coordination. Well, drone technology is basically a combination of virtual reality, the goggles, and gaming. It's a mixture of this with the agility of the copter, and that's what makes it so exciting. Each pilot builds their own race drone. Excellent technical skills are needed. In good conditions, drones can fly up to 130 kilometers per hour. The drones are so robust that when they crash, it's normally only the propellers that break. Well, that's how it's done. Things are getting serious now for the final 8 pilots. It's semi-finals time with just 4 places up for grabs in the main final. The other 4 pilots, the guys that lose out, will have to settle for a spot in the small final. But from now on, it's a case of all or nothing. The first 4 semi-finalists then lining up for the start. Luke Bannister going up against rivals Lucas Wahl. And then Zumas, we heard from him earlier in the day, and Jan Mittner completing the 4 in semi-final 1. And away they go, and I'm afraid Zumas has touched down straight after the start, the man in the blue. Bannister, though, one of the favourites, taking the lead in red. Bannister with that massive $250,000 win in the Middle East a little while back. But Zumas has crashed into the gate on the castle ruins, so blue down. You can see the disappointment on the American's face. Been doing a lot of racing over in LA as Zumas, and was hoping to come here to the Champions League in Europe and really hit hard, but it hasn't quite happened. Bannister then with the lead, while just behind him Mittner 6 seconds back on that, so he's got a bit of work to do as Mittner if he's going to get past Wahl. So Mittner in yellow, Wahl in green. Really close race still, green and yellow locked in this battle. It's going to be down to the last lap. There really isn't much to choose between these two. Mittner looking to move past Wahl if he can. Bannister looks like he's going to clean this one up. It's getting closer and closer between Wahl and Mittner. Bannister then records a massively fast time again, and Mittner it is that's got past Wahl by the looks of it. And those two, Bannister and Mittner, will go through to the big final. Wahl and Zumas are going to have to settle for a place in the small final. Well, there you go. That's the racer's eye view as we get semi-final 2 underway. We've got XYFPV in red, and then Mark Heiniger, who's been racing well, the 26-year-old Swiss, in green, Stropiev in blue, and Yogi in yellow. But remember, their 2 craft took some serious damage. Their copters took a beating in the quarter-final, and I just think that's caught up with them. Yogi has crashed out, Stropiev is struggling, and it looks like XY and Heiniger are going to be comfortable here. It's a good time, but they're not matching Bannister for speed through this course. Heiniger then through with XY. And those are our 2 finalists. Stropiev and Yogi, I'm afraid, going to have to settle for the small final. So we've got our final 4. Bannister from the UK will race against Jan Mittner, XY and Heiniger for victory on the first stop of the Drones Champion League, while Wahl, Zumas, Stropiev and Yogi will go head-to-head in the small final. Let's get that small final underway then. The pilots ready to go. Wahl in red, Zumas in green, Stropiev in blue, Yogi in yellow. Let's hope they've managed to get some running repairs done as they head through the 3 holes into the first lap of this course. The first big showdown of the day, but it's in the small final, and Zumas' drone is the first to crash. Lights out for him by the looks of it. Not sure if he'll get restarted after that one. And Stropiev also out. It's carnage, I'm afraid, in this small final. Look at that. Wahl through the finish line in 2:24.55 unopposed. So Wahl takes 5th position, and Zuma, Stropiev and Yogi all crashing out. But now the race that every pilot would like to be in. There's only 4 of these coveted places in the final, and the pilots are 17-year-old Luke Bannister from Team Black Sheep X-Blaze, Jan Mittner from the Czech Republic, who qualified as a wild card, remember, the German XY from Team MRP, Lionel Malta, and then the friendly Swiss Copter King, Mark Heiniger from the KISS Racing team, who beat his friend Lucas Wahl from the same team in the semis. So he's not that friendly, is he, Heiniger? But he's through and looking to secure a place on the podium. One of them is going to miss out in the 1, 2, 3 as we head into this final. But it's Luke Bannister that's been recording the fastest times of the day. The teenager from Somerset in England looking to dominate this one. Bannister then, red, Mittner in green, XY in blue, Heiniger in yellow, and they're through the gate on this first lap of 5. And you can see the red copter of Bannister is demolishing the rest of the field so far. Mittner and Heiniger trying to make it neck and neck, but got away in a little collision. Heiniger just touching with Bannister there. They're going to have to be careful. Mittner moving ahead of Bannister, and this is the first pressure that Bannister's had in the entire time here. I'm afraid XY is out. Heiniger has gone as well. So the crash is catching them up, and once again the red LED of Bannister emerges. He's a tough, gritty competitor. Mittner, the Czech Republic flyer, gave him a real run for his money, but Bannister has once again got himself out into the lead as we head into the final stages, and that doesn't look good, I'm afraid, from Mittner. That's the Conrad gate that has taken care of him. Unable to prevent Bannister now from taking the victory, and the 17-year-old has just got to get this one done and through the gate to win the first European Drone Champions League. Well, classic stuff from him. A few slow-mos from the race to enjoy. That crash early on from XY. Then the collision, Heiniger and Bannister. That nearly caused a problem for Bannister, but it was the end for Heiniger. And then the mistake from Mittner, the crash into the Conrad gate, I'm afraid finishing him off, which means that the red copter of Bannister is the man through the line. Luke Bannister then secures a start-finish win in the Drone Champions League in Reutte, the fastest in qualifying, fastest in the knockout heats. Let's hear from the English winner, Luke Bannister.
It feels epic. The track was amazing and there's some really fast races going on, so it's been a great day.
Switzerland's Mark Heiniger also happy with his third place.
Oh, it was an absolutely amazing day. I never thought that I could get that far in the final rounds, and because the whole who is who in the European FP racing scene was at this hill, at this castle, it was absolutely amazing.
So say all of us. So the UK's Luke Bannister wins ahead of Jan Mittner from the Czech Republic. The final podium spot goes to Mark Heiniger of Switzerland, and XY from Germany has to settle for a tough fourth place. Mittner then and Heiniger giving the beaming champion his obligatory champagne shower. The fast fingers that Bannister showed all day on the racetrack appear to also come in handy when it comes to spraying the champagne. Well done to Luke Bannister. What a superstar of drone racing. Well, great scenes to finish off this inaugural Champions League. And drone racing really hitting Europe in style. We'll leave you with these images from the Drone Champions League from Reutte in Austria. For more information on this round and up-and-coming events in this amazing new sport, visit drone-championsleague.com and check out our official Facebook page. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.